There you go. Now we're more centered. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you just tuned in, we're going to be working on spider guard, as you might have saw on the topic. I wanted to go over just some basic fundamental drills and just some basic defense, how to keep the spider guard, why even use spider guard, and then we'll go over some attacks from there. So spider guard is I feel is a good guard to start when you're a beginner and you don't know what to do from open guard, because you go from closed guard and then all of a sudden you open your guard and the person's running around you. You can set it up from your closed guard, and then you control the sleeves, because your opponent can't use your hands. If you have a good spider guard, you've dominated their hands. They can't grab your pants, and you make it really tough for them to set up their guard passes. So let's look at just a basic drill here. So we're here in the closed guard. So I'm starting it from the closed guard, and we're going to start with the grips. So our grips are always going to be like this. We're rolling the gi like this. So I make a 4-finger grip, rolling the gi, and I want to roll as if I want to punch him in his wrist. So I want to put my knuckles right touching his forearm right here. And I do the same thing on the other side. Now it's okay to open my guard, because now if I open the guard, it's hard for him to just pull his arms back and escape. If I started with my legs open, there's a chance he may start moving around, even get underneath my legs. But I'm here. Now I open, I'm going to shrimp out, get my knee inside, then shrimp out, get my other knee inside, and then I open my legs. My feet are on his hip, so as he gets closer to me, I can push him away with by stepping on his hip. I can open my knee to either side and make a good open guard from here. Then I'm going to step. I usually slide down with the knife edge of my foot, stepping on his arm, and then I extend it. I'm all the way on my hip. I'm not flat on my back. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other leg. And then for our basic drill, we just start by switching. So the way I switch is I bend my knee. I go flat until I go to the other side, and then I straighten the other leg. Then I bend. I move my hip and stretch.
So now I notice that you're actually lifting your hips when you're switching side to side.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to do here is every time, if I stay flat like this, moving this way, it's going to be a very slow and rough movement. So actually, as you bend your knee, your hips become light, and it makes it easy to go to the other side. When you see someone who's really experienced, and make rips on my pants too, so when you see someone very experienced with this, you'll always notice how smooth they are. And then when a lot of beginners that aren't that good at it, they tend to be flat and have trouble moving to the other side. So I always say, bend, make your hips light, so your hips are going to come up. So you come to the other side. Now at this point is where we stretch the leg. Don't go like this and stretch the leg here and then try to move. You want to move to the other side and stretch. I move to the side and stretch. When we look at our spider guard, we have this leg is like a defensive leg. This is going to stop him from moving in this direction. He tries to come close. I keep him here on my side. I don't do it like this. If I do it like this and then he starts moving around, he can sometimes slip right off. So it's always the bottom leg that's straight. If he starts moving that direction, I'll keep him in this direction. If he starts moving the other way, this is where I switch to the other side. So for the drill, I always start like this. We're getting too close now. Let's move back just a little bit. Then we always add the grip breaks. If you're not breaking grips in spider guard, all it takes is for you to stop for a split second and then get rid of your feet. So anytime I straighten one leg, the bend leg is the one that's going to break the grip. I circle my foot to the outside. I stomp and pull. And then I can go into a lasso if I wanted to. I can go to the inside and switch sides. Now it's this side. I circle to the outside, stomp and pull. I want to pull the arm in. You see his hand is coming in. You can start attacking arms, start attacking triangles, which we'll go over after we get the fundamentals down. come over here, I circle, kick, and pull. Then we go to the other side, straighten, circle the foot. You see the more sideways my foot is, the easier it is. Like sometimes if you want to kick this way, he can hold on a little better. But when I kick away, that's where the grip work happens.
And that's where you go right into the sweep from there, right?
Yeah, so we'll go over the sweep, like, because the basic sweep we got the one where we pendulum and knock the person over if they stay on their knees, or if they stand up, then you got other options too. Like you come over here, you can start stepping to start setting up spider guard.
Now, what's the biggest mistake that you see beginners doing from spider guard?
Yeah, well, basically the biggest mistake is that they are sometimes stepping on the wrong part of the arm. Sometimes they're stepping too high over here. Now there could be a reason for stepping here. Like if you're getting too close to me, I may want to push you back, but I want to slide down and catch in the foot.
And that's to prevent me from swimming my arms out?
Yeah, it's to prevent it from slipping out. Yeah, because if I'm over here, you turn a little bit, all of a sudden I lost the position.
Okay.
So always slide down. Use the knife edge of your foot like that, and hit that inside the bicep there, right in the crook of the elbow, just like this. So stepping on the correct part, all the way over here, nice and wide. This also forces me to open the legs wide. An open guard is everything between my legs. The more narrow my legs are, the less he's in and the more susceptible I am of getting past. Okay? Now, if he stands up, there's some basic drills from here. What Dave would like to do is get all the way towards his right and then turn his chest to slip it off. So this is where I have to time it down. As he walks to the side, I move with him. And then I stretch. He moves to the other side, I move with him. The only way to do that is to keep your head up and stay nice and loose. He moves to the other side, I move with him, and then I stretch. Notice I keep him on this side of my body. I don't stop here, I'm stopping all the way to the side. So now he's going to want to turn in the other direction, and I change. He goes to the other direction, and I change. If he steps back, another thing he could do is possibly walk backwards and push my feet down to the floor. So as soon as my back comes up a little bit, I'm going to do a little hop. I'll just bring my back to the mat. Do it again. And I kind of like do a little jump, and then I bring my knees in close. Once I'm here, and then I go back to my angle. So let's do all three. I want you to go to one side. I switch. Other side, switch. Then he's going to back up, and I follow.
Now that's the one that I seem to have the most trouble with, because maybe it's just a quarantine thing. I'm a little bit heavier than the top player, so when I start scooting myself, I find myself that I'm pulling the top person more than I'm actually scooting.
Okay, well, it all comes down to how much they pull on you anyway, right? It's a reaction to the person really aggressively pulling. If they kind of move back, maybe you could just pull them in with your legs, right? So if you're down. Let me just grab the pan. So if I'm not really like going back, then you can possibly just pull your knees in and make me walk again. Good.
Okay.
I'm like this. Exactly. That's how it's gonna happen. Like,
all right.
Like in a real match, it's like I go in, boom. Now you completely stopped me. Wait, because if you would have hesitated just a split second, then this happens.
All right.
So that's kind of like
That's the difference.
that's the difference. So first, when doing this drill, you're gonna want to make sure. Let me see. Dwayne, what's up, Dwayne? Hope all is well. Dwayne's always like on. Like driving around at work and stuff, he always tries to tune in when he can. Yeah, so spider guard. I know Dwayne loves spider guard. When we do those are your basic controls. Grip breaks. If they stand, you got to be able to keep the person in the spider guard.
Okay.
Now we're going to look at some attacks. So I always break it down to basic attacks when they're on their knees and then when they're on their feet. On their knees, we have our two basic attacks, which is going to be the sweep and the triangle. And they work together really well. Let's move back just a little bit. So we're here, all the way to the side. If I want to sweep them in this direction, I get to this side. If I want to sweep them in that direction, I first extend this way. Then I do the grip break. Now, I know that he may use his hand to post, right? So if I start turning him this way and off balancing him, he may post the hand. So what am I going to do? I pull it to my chest. I close my elbow. So if he starts to slide his hand towards the mat, my bicep is in the way. I'm still blocking it. I'm not opening my elbow where I can come to the mat. Nice and tight. I use this leg for momentum. This is something I used to watch Braulio Stima. He does really well. He would like swing up almost as if he's going to do an arm bar. It comes all the way to the side as if he's doing an arm bar. Then when we come back, we bend this leg like this. We get to the other side of the hip. This leg chops like a scissor sweep. This leg extends. Then I look over my shoulder. Boom. Nice simple sweep.
Now I noticed that as you're doing the sweep, your butt is no longer off to the side. It's coming back just based on that pendulum motion.
Yeah, so what happens is, if you remember when we were doing this movement, we bend, we moved all the way to the other side, and switch. It's actually a similar movement now. I swing, but now I bend, so my hips become light,
Okay.
and I get all the way to the side. Now, I extend, I look over my shoulder, and I just tip you right over. And you fall right over. So I'm going to do that slow one more time, and then I'm going to do it a little bit faster. Come here, breaking the grip, pull the hand, swing, bend. I go from side to side, kick, swing. And then a lot of times it's just a product of this type of sweep. People will start trying to get the knees in. So you have to try to like keep your knees tight. If the person starts putting you in one-legged X, you're going to want to push the foot down and start getting ready to do your defenses. Or maybe retract your leg a little bit, put it between the legs, so you don't end up in a get swept immediately after your sweep. So just be aware that, you know, I think when beginners do it, they don't see it as much, you know. But as you get to upper belts, people will always try to, like, on their way down, start putting their knees in.
Okay.
Start getting to that sweep.
This is a sweep that I know that when I hit it, I feel so good when I hit this because it's effortless, and the top player usually will go right over. So you feel really good about yourself.
Yeah, a lot of things, because it's just tipping them over. It's not like a hip bump sweep. You got to grab them and knock them over. Even a scissor sweep, you got to get a lot of motion going. Right. This one is like, if you move right, the person just flops right over.
Yeah, it's like no force.
Because you get their head going so far forward, it's so effective that way. I see some plain back. Ah, and it says, "Hi, Dad."
Hey, buddy.
And then what was that?
He was excited to be typing.
Yeah, not as much as Spider-Man. I think you mean Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man loves Spider-Guard.
Well, listen, when you can deadlift 6,000 pounds,
I know.
It makes your Spider-Guard much better.
I know. And then he got a tattoo to his belt.
I saw that belt, yeah.
So, the Spider-Guard, I remember when I was a lower belt, and I wasn't really that keen on Spider-Guard. However, I remember one tournament, I was a blue belt, and then I almost got caught in the triangle. And then I always thought to myself, Spider-Guard is mostly for triangles, probably. And actually, this triangle, I do think, is one of the strongest attacks. So I'm always going to start in the same way. And I pull his hand to my chest. Now, I've seen some people teach it certain ways, and my favorite way of learning this triangle is a little different. It's not so much like retracting this leg and arching your hips and going for a triangle, holding the sleeves. It's more getting your hips up first before you take the foot off the bicep. So I'm not going to remove this and then come in here, because then it's very easy. Look, all the space here. Dave can sometimes retract his other elbow, and now the triangle's not there. So what I want to do is I use this foot on the hip to help elevate my hips. And my knees are going to come up. This knee is going to be as high as this shoulder. This knee is high as this shoulder. And I just lift. So my hips come up really high. I'm only on my shoulder. My lower back's off the mat. Now this leg wraps around the neck like this. And then I start locking up my triangle. A lot of times when doing this, you don't even necessarily need to grab your leg or anything. You can just figure four the legs right from lifting your hips up. So I take this foot and step on the hip. I pull them in and I lift my hips up first. Get my hips really high. Then I throw the leg over. I pick up the leg. Here's an important detail for the triangle. I don't like just locking the legs and then adjusting. I like to try to pick up my leg even with my ankle like this. Because then I can lock up a triangle. I know I can lock up a triangle. When my knee is open, this is a common mistake. People try to get a triangle like this and then start doing this. It's much harder because my knees are facing the wrong direction. I want my knees facing in this direction so I can get a good triangle.
So if you guys are having trouble getting your hips high enough, Yanni is using his left leg right here and standing on my bicep to help lift his hips up.
Exactly. It's actually doing almost the same thing that this foot is doing. This foot is stepping and lifting. I'm pushing, almost knocking his arm into his hip as if I'm stepping on his hip. Then I just lift my hips, throw the leg, and then I start locking up my triangle. And then you could obviously do an arm bar or look to underhook. So one more time. And this could work. What's good about this technique is it works kneeling or standing. If Dave is standing and I have him in a triangle, in a spider guard I can just do the same thing. I just break the grip, pull, step. Now I really have to lift my hips. So I just drive down, hips up. I can still reach him just like I did when he was on his knees. So I'll be standing up. I have him in the spider guard. If he's grabbing my pants and moving side to side, I want to make sure that I'm following him as best as I can. Then when I'm ready, I break the grip. A lot of times the person stops moving. That's when I start my attack. I break the grip. Step on the hip. Lift. Get your hips as high as you can. And then come around the neck. Lock it up. Then if you have to, you can figure four. Underhook. And get a really solid triangle from there.
How do you feel about attacking the omoplata from the same position?
Omoplata. So omoplata, I prefer omoplata more from a collar and sleeve rather than double sleeve.
Okay.
The only reason is because when you have double sleeve, you tend to bring the hands in towards the body, which means omoplata they can kind of slip their arm out.
Okay.
It's sometimes if you want to do the omoplata, you can do the same movement, but you're gonna have to add one more step in that when you come up, you have to, instead of pulling the hand here and keeping it, you're gonna want to do this.
Tuck it. Okay.
And put the hand in the pocket.
All right.
Same movement, like I rotate as I come up. A lot of times I may if I can, put my knee on this side of the head rather than this side. This side is good for going for triangles. If the person turns away though, then I'll just keep it here and then we can start setting up the omoplata. So it is good if the person moves a specific way. If they're two facing you, then just go for the triangle because they're giving you the triangle. Triangle armbar is a really strong attack as well.
Okay.
And yeah, using the sweep, that little pendulum movement, that little spider sweep is a good way to set it up as well. One thing I always do, I sometimes teach, is once you've mastered the standard sweep, then a fun drill is have the person recover, don't even come up, and then go for the triangle when they come up. So come here, we do the whole drill where I sweep him over and knock him over. Then what's going to happen is I'm going to have his sleeves. So he can't use his hands to get up. So what he's going to do is he's going to walk his legs away, and then he gets up. As he gets up, I just fall, and I pull him into a triangle.
Oh, that was nice. I like that.
Yeah, it's a really fun drill. You come here, you sweep. Since I have the hands, he can only get up by walking his legs away. As he comes away, look, his arm is pulled away so far that he's gonna, it combos really well with the triangle. So you sweep, sweep as they fall. Because they fall, they're gonna get up like this. Their arm is, and then of course you can do it vice versa. Maybe like you want to do the triangle, the person's back, the person starts trying to pull away, then you off balance them.
Okay. Will you ever let go of the wrist grip that's by your chest so that they post and then try triangling that way?
You're saying
Sort of like how you do the hip bump triangle. Once they post, you set the triangle up that way.
Only if that's a good triangle if you do a little bit modified spider guard. So there's a few ways to play spider guard. There's your standard spider guard. And here, speaking of Bralo, I mentioned Bralo before, but he was the first person I ever saw do this. Is there's the spider guard you play when you have one collar, not a cross collar, straight side collar. And then what you can do from this one is I can extend this way and then off balance and then they post.
Okay, and then you're setting up the triangles.
Yeah, and the way I set this triangle is instead of going here and shooting this leg up because you're so high on the side, I'm gonna try to kick this leg almost like I'm doing omoplata. So I drive down and bring the other leg up. So I go from here, here. Then I'll lock it up, and this is the arm I want inside. I adjust.
Okay.
So that's a good spider guard too. Maybe what happens is like we were in an open guard like this, like a sitting guard, the person's trying to grab the pants, and I don't have to try to grab both. So I'll grab, fall to the side, and catch the arm. So here, Dave is already starting to come in. I'm going to grab, I fall sideways, catch the arm. Then from here, I extend as I pull. He has to post a hand. If he's grabbing my pants, then what I'm going to have to do is I have to pull the shoulder down, and he has to post a hand. Now I throw this leg up, but don't leave this leg extended. You're going to bend. The higher you lift your hips, the better. So you get to this position, and then you cross the legs. At this point, I like using a little inverted armbar here, because then when he wants to rotate his thumb out of it, it puts his arm in a good position that you can start figure four on the leg. When I went to Devante's grand opening recently, grand reopening, Murillo taught a move, and he taught a similar triangle. And his big thing is like if you're standing up, and he likes to play this guard with his feet, almost like he's doing a butterfly strike, but his feet are so close to his body, and his head is actually past his feet, right? So it protects him against Toriano passes. But then once Dave gets lower than me, what he likes to do is he falls to the side, and he swims his feet like this. So it's like to catch. And then we're right into the same guard position, okay? Like I said, I like going this way and come here. I think he actually showed one where he ended up pulling the person in. I don't remember the exact details. He did it a little bit different than the way I show, but I think that's like the easiest way to learn. If you want the person to post their hand, you got to do this stuff, because grabbing that collar and pulling down is going to force them to post, and they're going to post like far away. Harder for them to get back.
Right.
Like if someone posts like this where they can easily pull their arm back and not really post it, then your window of opportunity is very small. But if you get them to pose really wide like this, for them to get up, they have to push off the mat so their hand is like glued. So that's like the whole theory of making someone post. Similar to like if you want to ankle pick someone, get them to post heavy so that when they pick the ankle, they fall right to the butt.
Okay. I was so looking forward to that grand reopening, and I ended up getting the flu.
Oh,
I was really looking forward to going to that, though.
You got
Yeah.
the COVID.
It was not the COVID. I don't think it was the COVID, but it was definitely the flu.
When was that? That was
February.
February. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Could have timing wise, it was very similar.
Listen,
Obviously,
I was
it's the same.
very sick in October.
Yeah.
All right, very sick. That one was the worst I've ever been, and then I got the flu in February. If I had COVID, it was October. It was not February.
Oh man, you got the flu. Yeah, a lot of people got the flu this year, even around here. I haven't gotten the flu since I was a kid. I feel like
You don't get the shot,
I don't get the shot, which I'm gonna start.
but you have all these kids in here. How do you not get it?
I don't know.
It
I
went
like
around.
I never get I get colds, but I never get a fever or nothing. So
It
I mean,
spread through core like crazy.
unless can you have a fever? Can you have like just cold symptoms and it's still flu?
I don't know.
I think like flu is way more severe. It's usually like
When I get it,
In
I have a
bed.
fever.
Yeah.
I had like 103.7 or
oh
something.
my gosh, yeah, that's rough.
Dry cough. No.
Tightness in your chest.
Tightness in my chest. Yep. Shortness of breath.
Did you lose smell and taste?
I don't know. I didn't eat for days. That's the only advantage of having a flu. You can definitely drop some weight.
I know. Actually, Olivia, one of the young kids.
Yeah, I know her.
She had the flu for a while, like a week and a half, and then it was actually right before the Henzo Gracie Denville tournament.
Okay.
And then she ended up being like 10 pounds lighter than she normally was, but there was no one for her to compete against anyway, so I was like, oh, you're a good weight right now. Oh man. Yeah, so I guess the only other thing that I like doing from Spider Guard when they stand is what I showed before, where we're setting up the Spider Guard. And you can do it from that collar sleeve Spider Guard or for standard Spider Guard, okay? I noticed that when Roberto did the seminar, that Veda loves this technique a lot. You know, she uses this a lot. So it's a really good technique, especially if you have good long legs, you know, you should always be using this to get underneath, because a Spider Guard, X Guard, I feel is like one of the strongest sweeping guards you can have. But you can't just magically land an X Guard. You know? You gotta get underneath, you gotta take advantage of them. So, if Dave is standing, I have to understand that I know how to maintain the guard. I know how to keep this. I keep my knees in when the person tries to pull me back. But if the person is just keeping their feet far enough away that it becomes hard for me to really attack, even with the triangle, like if I have to get close, see how I'm extending too much, it's going to be hard for me to get close to him for the triangle. This is a good time to maybe step on the mat. And when I do this, I extend this arm. Why? Because if I'm too lax with this, he can just easily circle his hand to the inside, and now he can knee cut. But if I come here, he's got no underhook. Even if he tried moving in this direction, I can follow him pretty easily. Now what I want to do is I'm going to step on the mat. I lift my hips, and I'm just looking to make him walk. So I just pull him forward. The deeper, the better. And now where I put my foot kind of depends on how you like to play this guard. Like sometimes I'll come in to almost like a single leg X type position, and then I'll just do a double ankle. And this is like Leandro Lowe's favorite sweep. He goes like here, and then he just lifts his hips and chops down. Of course, your foot is elevated right now, so before you get up, you circle. You can look for your foot locks here, or you can get up. So let's look at that variation. That's probably the one that you see in competition the most, especially at the highest levels. So we're here. You look to step on the mat, lift the hips, and make the person walk right over. Now look, I'm putting my foot all the way on the inside, but my knee is on the outside. Sometimes you can just go all the way over and go right into like a single leg X. And this will work too. I like coming in here because now if Dave tries to like back step out, I can keep his weight off with this foot.
This is much stronger.
Yeah, this is really strong, much stronger than just this. Because here, he can easily push the foot off and he has more counter. So if you can get your foot to the inside right here, now I'm going to let go of his sleeves because I don't need them anymore. They're not required to sweep them. But controlling the ankles will. And all I have to do is just like you're doing a double ankle sweep. every kid's favorite sweep in the world. They just grab the ankles and just lift. So I just lift, knock them over, and I hold the feet. If Dave tries to get up, I'm keeping him right here. Then this foot comes out first. Then the other foot comes out second. And I end up with my knee in the center to avoid the closed guard. Let's look at that. We're playing from here. Even if I'm playing this spider guard here, I could do the same thing. I can pull him, get him to step in nice and deep, and I step on his hip, but my knee is open. Now I'm going to let go, grab both of the ankles. Now I'm going to lift my hips and put his butt to the mat. Now, let's turn just a little bit so you can see. So this is the scramble. This is where a lot of people get super excited and they come here and they just try getting up, and then Dave just underhooks my leg and keeps me down. He'll win that battle. So instead, when Dave tries to get up, I just keep him down. Then I circle my foot and I take the other foot back. Now I'm in position, my knee's in the center, I can avoid closed guard, and then I can start setting up my passes. Obviously, if Dave's going to start looking for my sweeps, I'm constantly swimming my hands, maybe breaking grips, and get to a position where I can either move around him or step over and look for the pass.
And that's the big reason why the kids doing the double ankle sweep never works, because they don't have the control to keep the other person down. So could you go over that part again?
Yes, absolutely. I'll just do it from a double ankle sweep. So let's just say you step close enough and the person got excited to knock him over. Come here and here, knock him down. Now I always want my feet to the inside.
And you're keeping both of my feet. This is where the kids get too excited.
Exactly.
As soon as the butt hits the mat, they're letting go and springing up, and then they're both getting up at the same time.
You know what a lot of people have, especially beginners, kids, they think that because their feet are here, this looks almost like I'm in now, right? It's
right.
Almost like I'm now. If I could somehow get enough momentum to climb up, and it might have worked once. The thing is it's so easy, especially when you do this standard double ankle sweep. Mm-hmm. It's so easy for the person to pinch their knees and elevate your feet that for me to get up, it's so hard to counter.
I don't show the kids this, and I tell them all the time to not do it because we haven't gone over all the control.
Yeah, but that's why sometimes when I teach the kids, I actually prefer to teach them with butterfly hooks when they're standing.
Okay.
Like if you're standing up, and this is what I do with my youngest group when it's spider guard week. I don't necessarily teach them spider guard that much.
Okay.
But I teach them this open guard, and then the person moves one way, we do the shrimp, right? We shrimp. He goes the other way. Shrimp. And then I just tell them to hook, walk them in, grab the ankles. What's good about this one is it puts your feet.
You're already inside.
On the inside.
Yep.
Yeah. It just this is just such a it's very you see it and you want to take it. You're like, oh, I'll just kick and knock them back. It's just, it seems so obvious and it would work, but then you always find yourself having trouble getting up.
Yeah, and it's the kids always. The kids will always do that sweep, and I'm always like,
kids will take the easiest way.
Yeah.
They're not looking to figure out why, but once they start learning, they'll always keep their feet on the inside. Becomes a sweep. A lot of people tend to forget about these type of sweeps. I still use them, but I only use them when I know I can control the feet, ankles. So I kind of just combine it with my X guard really.
So now, I'm assuming that the next sweep is going to be like the overhead sweep where you keep the sleeve. Is that where you're going next?
Not necessarily, although that is a good sweep too, You mean both feet on the hips overhead?
From that same grip, you keep the sleeve, you keep the leg wrap, and you get I think you go to the collar, right?
So that's usually if you're in a full single leg X, right?
Oh, you won't do it from the same position.
I mean, you possibly could, because we were in spider guard,
right?
You came in this way. Now what I'm going to end up having to do in order to do the sweep is overhook and make this, right?
Yep.
This is fine too. Usually I'll do this if we're hanging out in the position for a little bit and maybe the person is squatting back. But most of the time, if I got to this position, I'm just gonna.
You're
is
just
so
gonna
strong.
take me right over.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my question.
Maybe if you step back with this leg, and I ended up like this is a good time to do it because now I was here, I can start passing this off. So if you guys don't know the sweep, this is a very good one. I learned this one from Dylan Dennis. He was teaching a seminar at Sakura, and he showed this from the overhook. And a lot of times people are grabbing here anyway, so their hand's right there anyway. I come here and then I push and pull. Okay, keeping my foot to the inside. Now I take this foot out and I keep this knee up and I start coming in. Like I don't, if you go too early, they'll just put the De La Riva hook in. So sometimes it's like you want to open them more and then come back. So let's look at that one again. We're a little bit close.
But again, just to repeat what you already said, if you get to that position, you're not going for this sweep. You're just taking them right down.
Yeah, I'm looking to take him down. That's because I'm able to catch both of his ankles, right? I'm here. Almost no reason to do this. Now, for whatever reason, person sets back, I may go here. So this foot is hooking here just to stop you from completely backstepping. And then, if they go to grab, this is a good time to start feeding this sleeve. Nice strong sleeve grip. Then I'll do my cross collar. I'm gonna push and pull. When you post the hand, then I go to the other shoulder. Common mistake. Let's go back. So I'm here. Common mistake is when they pull, they try to sweep the person in this direction and they don't move. He's got this hand here, so I want him to actually put pressure with that hand on the mat and then take him the other way. There's no way he can stop that sweep because if he tries to pull his arm back, this is a strong grip because of the overhook. Then I come out. Sometimes I can hold this leg and force like a half guard and pass from there.
That's great. I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That was the first time I learned that sweep. Really, it's just like an overhead sweep that you didn't think of doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, now I'm not going to do it. Now I'm just going to chop. If I get both ankles, I'm just going to chop.
You get both ankles, easiest. Yeah.
Okay.
Easiest way. In fact, sometimes from X guard, if the person's starting backstep, I'll just overhook the ankle, or I'll get them to post their hand so that I can get both ankles. Because, you know, if you can control both ankles like a hog tie, you know, they're only relying on their hands. So just start steering them where their hands cannot effectively hold them up, and just take them right over.
Okay.
All right, guys. Got a few viewers. Does anyone have any specific questions on the spider guard? I tried to show like all the basics and then a few like a little more advanced stuff when they're standing, but it's your basic game plan in the spider guard is always about controlling the hands, attacking the triangle, possibly omoplata if the person is turning away from you, or just getting a sweep going because the person's too far away from you to close the guard on them and have like a wide variety of attacks. So you want to make sure everything is safe and you keep them right there. You know, the strategy is always going to be very similar, you know.
Now, I just have a question about the grips because I always teach the same grips that you teach.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever, because I know especially for beginners, those grips, the cuff grips, can hurt your fingers a little bit. Do you ever teach the pistol grips, or do you just stay away from them altogether?
Not for a spider guard. So pistol grip has its place. I like the pistol grip if I'm doing like a 2-on-1 grip. Like if I'm here with a cross pistol grip, I'm doing something like this. This is a good way to use that grip. It takes too long to get a pistol grip effectively.
Okay,
And
so you don't even show it.
It's never as strong. This will never be as strong as this.
No, this is definitely the best.
This, you could just catch easy, and you're basically going against the fabric right here.
Right.
Here, you're basically just using your strength. It is a good grip because it gets rid of all the slack right here, and you can use this to move left and right. But pulling forward is not that effective. I don't feel like if you pull your elbow back and I pull in this way, I start losing it.
Okay.
Whereas going this way, it's very hard for you to stop that, and then I
Right.
can use it for arm drags.
Okay.
So that's usually my use of a pistol grip, is usually for this type of
Directions.
direction.
Okay.
Right. For pulling in, this grip is going to be the best. And I know it takes a little bit of getting used to,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually you shouldn't be using too much strength in it. You should be just using the like a hook,
Right.
just hooking around and wherever they go. Also rolling
That's a good detail.
the knuckle up helps a lot, because now we're getting more. You're getting just more material to work with,
Mm-hmm.
and they pull in. In fact, I think I saw one time Hoff Mendes teaching Spider Guard, and he was gripping here, and then he was turning their hand out. You can imagine, like, I had a Spider Guard. So instead of with my elbows in, he was going out. So if you go to grab my pants, he kind of makes it
Yeah.
away. So that was an interesting, but it was all, he was using that same idea of putting the knuckles into the wrist. But that little detail is very good. I don't think you can use that often, but if you get an opportunity to turn their hands out,
If you're not using it all the time, though, that's hard to remember to.
yeah, I know. That is stuff. You have to play with it. Let us know what you guys think. If you guys have played Spider Guard, if you've ever turned their hands away so that the opponent doesn't have the angles to grab, now their hands are facing away. So they have to literally retract, and then you can start setting something up. I think that's a pretty good attack as well. All right.
What are you doing? Sometimes if I get stuck in Spider Guard and I can't do any of the normal breaks or passes, I'll put one knee down, one knee up, and I'll. What are you doing when
That's
someone?
a good question. So generally, if someone is putting one knee up and one knee down, so the reason he's doing this is because he may be worried about a triangle. So if he sits back on one knee and puts his front knee in the middle, if I go for this triangle, I can't. His knee's going to be blocking it. Okay? So there's usually two things you can do. Number one, you can go a shin to shin hook like this. And my knee is going to be facing this way with my foot on the inside. Now, all I want to do is put his knee to the mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move him in this direction. Then I can elevate up. See, now his knee's going towards the mat, and we can go into our triangle, or go into our
Right back into the sweep.
into the sweep. So one more time, he has his knee up. So in order to do this though, this doesn't work. It's very hard to put this hook in when my head is on the same side of the leg. So if I was like here, stretching like this, I have no room to do it. I'm gonna have to get to the side. So step on the mat, shrimp, 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 get all the way to the side. Now you have room, but now I don't want to stay this way. I'm gonna have to square up to you again. This is the ideal position. You see how my knee is touching your knee? This is ideal. Now, all I want to do is move the person this way. See, as soon as he moves this way, his leg is heavy. Now I lift up, and his knee touches the mat. I can go right into a triangle. Other thing to do, if you're having trouble moving the person for whatever reason, maybe I come here, and then they start leaning back now. They start leaning on the other leg. So it's hard for me to pull forward. Now I'm just going to take the foot out, and I'm going to put a De La Riva hook in. Now I'm going to move my head to the other side. And then I can possibly sweep. I can go to the ankle, barren ball. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So let's look at that again. Person is putting one knee in the middle. This is a very defensive position. Makes it hard for me to really attack. So if I move to the side, I can come in. As soon as he's leaning back and I feel like I'm losing like the momentum of pulling forward, I just take an outside foot here. And this foot right here is, you see how I kind of like pulled you in? So I'm going to pull myself in so that I can put this hook in. And now I'm here, I can go right to the ankle, he pose, I can go for the arm. I can change to a belt grip and put you on your butt to go berimbolo. So basically you connect to a good De La Riva that way
Okay,
too.
yeah,
So,
that's good. I like that one.
yeah, so if you kind of imagine like, if they're here, then you can probably do this. But here, there's little space between your butt and your heel.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put a De La Riva in this way.
Okay.
But they're off balance, right? So you're going to use that to off balance. We come over here, they have good balance.
Uh-huh.
But now there's a lot of space here.
Okay, yep.
So we'll just take that space. No reason to like think I have the 2 sleeves, I have to do a spider guard move, you know?
And you're using that foot on the bicep in order to shift my hips so that you can get that hook in deep.
Yes.
You're not staying where you are and keeping a shallow hook. You're moving
Exactly.
me and getting a deep hook.
A lot of times when putting a hook in, you have to have the proper angle so the hook can come in nicely.
Right.
If your angle's a little awkward, you're going to have like a hook that's like barely in.
Right.
You're going to have trouble. So using that foot to fix your angle, put that hook in, and now you've made yourself super sticky to them.
And you see, as soon as you shift me that way, I'm going over already.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I don't like this. Ooh, yeah. The person may even stand up all the way, and then you could just go right to your De La Riva game, or go back to your spider again if spider's more your game, or De La
Okay.
Riva is, you know.
Would you recommend spider guard for somebody with short legs?
I think spider guard works best with longer leg people, but there's no reason not to be able to use it.
Okay.
Just understand that if someone's taller than you and they back away, they can get their feet off your bicep. So you have to be a lot more active in a spider guard
Okay.
if you have shorter legs than your opponent. So, like if I'm going against someone who's like a lot taller than me, and I could use my spider guard, but I have to quickly change, probably connect it to De La Riva, because if they back away and they go like this, you know, I'm gonna have to do a lot of posting and stuff like that, which actually I forgot to go over. That was another thing. Maybe a different day. But yeah.
Which one was that for now? Now you have me curious. I can't remember.
Yeah. If you all right, you guys got it anyway. So if you manage to push my feet all the way to the mat,
Feet to the side?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, I remember.
and then
now.
I
Yep.
come here, and my shoulder is right by his shoulder. I just back up, and then I fall. And as I fall, similar to when we grabbed the collar, I bring my knees in and I try to catch.
Okay. I don't know why I couldn't. It's from not being on the mat for 6 weeks.
Yeah,
That's why.
you know what? If you're going against a taller person, you're gonna need that's gonna be your best friend.
Right, yeah.
That escape, because taller people have the advantage. That's why taller people, when they're playing spider guard, it's harder to do that to them. So that's why, you know, it's such a great guard, you know. I never want to say don't recommend using spider guard, but of course you got to know the limitations. If a person's taller than you, you got to be ready to change if you're going to use it.
Okay.
But everyone should drill it. I think it enhances just your open guard in general.
Sure. And then another thing that you talked about that maybe I just want to make sure everybody understands is when you're playing open guard, your legs, your knees are wide, all right? If you noticed, every time Yanni was setting that up, he's opening his legs up. We can't play open guard from here. Our knees are too shallow. It's easy for the opponent to just change the direction. But here, now the partner is between your legs the whole time. It's much easier to play guard.
Yeah, the wider your legs, the more you're catching. Like if I'm trying to think, like if there's like a lot of water falling down, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want to get like a small cup to
Right,
catch
yeah.
all the water. You want to get a big bucket, and that's kind of what you're doing. You're making what you're catching the person in as wide as possible. So closed guard is like the ultimate catching someone, right? That you completely wrap them around. When they're further away, you want to have your legs able to catch something. So don't handicap yourself by doing this. Very common because sometimes people are like they tense up.
Yeah.
Right? And when they tense up, their knees come together. And it actually ends up hurting them because it's so easy for them to give up that back, you know, give up an angle to get their guard pass. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Is that it?
That's it. All right, yeah, we're winding down now, guys. So I'm glad some of you guys stuck around, asked some questions. I think spider guard is a position that, you know, I think is an important one. If you're training nigga, you gotta at least be familiar with the concepts. And I think everything we did today is enough to practice for a long enough time that eventually you'll start understanding, what all the possibilities a person's going to attack with, so that you can always have an answer and be effective from spider guard.
Yeah, good. I liked it all. For the beginners, just make sure you're keeping those knees wide, and make sure when you're playing spider guard, it's the hip that you're on that the leg is straight. If you're straightening the other leg, you're going to be giving up the pass.
Yeah, very common to thinking oh, I straightened the leg, I did everything right, and the person just passed. A lot of times is you almost direct them into the pass when you straighten the top leg, so you have to be careful with that. And then other than that, Dave and Ed's podcast is doing well. They're on their 3rd episode just released today, so definitely check that one out. I already listened to it. It was very good. Very
To the Death podcast. You can find it on the easiest way is just to go right to the website, tothedeathpodcast.com. We also have YouTube, and it's on all of the other podcast platforms.
Yep, absolutely. So definitely check them out. Subscribe on YouTube or on I think on the podcast app on the iPhone. I think that's what I have it on. So
yeah, it's still sometimes hard to find. So again, just the website. It'll bring you to all your favorite listening platforms. We are going to have a guest very soon, so
Awesome.
make sure you check that one out.
definitely, you guys should be a very informative one. That'll be a good one. All right, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks.
3